Hello, it is a pleasure to speak today at the Georgia Wellness Summit about mental health matters for women, which is a very relevant topic given all that's going on in our world today. Today, I'll be discussing with you how mental health impacts women, as well as raising awareness about stigma that women face, coping with stress, and advocating for better women's mental health. In order to raise public awareness about mental health, we must talk about it. That's the first step in advocating for better health care, to have a conversation about it. The month of May was Mental Health Awareness Month, as well as Women's Health Month. However, these two topics should really be discussed throughout the year. This is a time for raising awareness, educating the public, developing strategies for attaining mental health and wellness, and drawing attention to suicide and reducing stigma. First, let's talk about the prevalence of mental illness. What I'd like to emphasize here is that according to the National Alliance on Mental Illness, which is NAMI, millions of people in the United States are affected by mental illness each year. 1 in 5 adults experience mental illness each year. So this means that you never know who could be standing beside you that may be experiencing some type of mental illness. And with mental illness, there are different types and degrees of severity. Some of the major types are depression, anxiety, schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, personality disorders, trauma, and eating disorders. According to the National Library of Medicine, 1 in 5 people may develop a common mental disorder during their lifetime, and the probability is higher in women. This can be explained by sociocultural factors linked to the female sex, which is more exposed to things like domestic work overload, domestic violence, domestic stressors, and multiple roles developed in society, both in the home and at work. Did you know that more than 1 in 5 women in the United States experienced a mental health condition in the past year, such as depression or anxiety? According to the National Institute on Mental Health, mental disorders can affect women and men differently. Some disorders are more common in women, such as depression and anxiety, and there are also certain types of disorders that are unique to women. For example, some women may experience symptoms of mental disorders at times of hormone change, such as perinatal depression, premenstrual dysphoric disorder, and perimenopausal related depression. When it comes to other mental disorders such as schizophrenia and bipolar disorder, research has not found differences in the rates at which men and women experience these illnesses. But women may experience these illnesses differently. Certain symptoms may be more common in women than in men, and the course of the illness can be affected by the sex of the individual. So researchers are only now beginning to tease out what the various biological and psychosocial factors there may be that could impact the mental health of both men and women. According to the Anxiety and Depression Association of America, the prevalence of serious mental illness is almost 70% greater in women than in men. Women are twice as likely to have depression than men, and it's manifested differently. So, for example, in men, it manifests often as tiredness, irritability, and anger. In women, depression tends to manifest as sadness, feelings of worthlessness, and guilt. Women are twice as likely to be diagnosed with generalized anxiety disorder than men. And women are twice as likely to be diagnosed with panic disorder than men. Women are more likely to experience post traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, and they wait much longer than men after symptoms arise to seek diagnosis and treatment. According to the Office of Women's Health, women wait an average of 4 years after the onset of PTSD symptoms before asking for help. Women are almost 10 times more likely than men to be affected by an eating disorder. According to Recovery Access Mental Health, 1.9% of women will experience anorexia, excessive weight loss, each year compared to the 0.2% of men. So now I want to raise awareness about mental health and the stigma that women face. According to Regis College, one of the greatest challenges facing the healthcare industry is the fight against mental illness, with the biggest obstacle to treatment of mental health disorders being the societal stigma attached to the disease. The reluctance of patients to seek treatment for mental health disorders disproportionately affects women, in large part because women are more susceptible than men to many of the common mental health conditions. In addition to feeling too ashamed to seek help for a mental disorder, many women aren't aware that their symptoms constitute an illness that can be treated. One step toward improving the diagnosis and treatment of mental health conditions in women, it lies in educating and raising awareness. Basically talking about it like what we're doing today, providing information on the prevalence of mental illness, the negative effects it has on women and their families, and the many resources available to help them receive the treatment that they need to return to good health. The stigma of seeking treatment for a mental illness is greater among women of color. Johns Hopkins Medicine reports that while women are twice as likely as men to experience serious depression, African American women are half as likely as Caucasian women to ask for help from a mental health professional. Latina women are similarly hesitant to seek treatment when experiencing symptoms of mental illness. Researchers propose that the culture of minority communities may be the hindrance because it's often presented as women, they present the women as strong and stoic, placing the needs of their loved ones and others above their own. However, we need to combat that stigma. We must continue to educate the women that seeking treatment for their mental illness will improve their ability to take care of their families. So now let's talk about stress and your health. Now, everyone experiences some level of stress in their life, but not all stress is bad. And everyone deals with it differently. Some stress can be positive, and it can give you the energy that you need to get things done throughout the day. However, some stress can be toxic stress, which can lead to serious health problems. Women are more likely than men to report symptoms of stress, including headaches and upset stomach. Women are also more likely to have mental health conditions that are made worse by stress, such as the depression and anxiety. Did you know that women react differently to stress than men do? According to womenshealth.gov, studies show that women are more likely than men to experience symptoms of stress. Women who are stressed are more likely than men who are stressed to experience the depression and anxiety. But experts, they don't fully know the reason for the differences, but it may be related to how men's and women's bodies process stress hormones. Long-term stress, especially, is more likely to cause problems with moods and anxiety in women. Some of the health effects of stress are the same for men and women. So, for example, stress can cause sleeping disorders, trouble sleeping, and weaker immune system. But there are other ways that stress affects women, for example, with headaches and migraines. When you're stressed, your muscles tense up. Long-term stress can lead to headaches and migraines and general body aches and pains. And tension type headaches are more common in women. Depression and anxiety. We already know that women are twice as likely to have symptoms of depression and more likely to have anxiety. Research suggests that women may feel the symptoms of stress more or get more of the symptoms than men. And this can raise their risk of depression and anxiety. Heart problems. High stress levels can raise your blood pressure and your heart rate. And over time, high blood pressure can cause serious health problems such as a stroke and a heart attack. Younger women with a history of heart problems, especially, may be at risk for the negative effects of stress on the heart. Upset stomach. Short term stress can cause stomach issues such as diarrhea or vomiting. And long term stress can lead to irritable bowel syndrome, a condition that is twice as common in women as in men. Stress can make irritable bowel symptoms such as gas and bloating much worse. Obesity. The link between stress and weight gain is stronger for women than for men. Stress increases the amount of hormone in your body called cortisol, which can lead to overeating and causes your body to store fat. Problems getting pregnant. Women with higher levels of stress are more likely to have problems getting pregnant than women with lower levels of stress. Also, not being able to get pregnant when you want to can be a source of stress. Menstrual cycle problems. Women who experience chronic or long-term stress may have more severe premenstrual syndrome or PMS or irregular periods. Some studies link past abuse or trauma to more severe PMS. Decreased sex drive. Women with long-term stress may take longer to get aroused and may have less of a sex drive than women with lower levels of stress. At least one study found that women with higher stress levels were more distracted during sex than other women. Good mental health means you're able to cope with daily stresses and accomplish your personal goals. You may not be able to prevent a mental health condition, but you can take steps to protect and support your mental health throughout your life. One step is to ensure that you have good nutrition. According to the Office on Women's Health, the foods you eat and what you drink can have a direct effect on your energy levels and your mood. Researchers think that eating healthier foods can have a positive effect on your mood. Getting the right balance of nutrients, including fiber and water, can help your mood stay stable. Sugary or processed foods increase your blood sugar and then make you feel tired and irritable when your blood sugar levels drop. Some vitamins and minerals may help with the symptoms of depression. Experts are researching how a lack of some nutrients is linked to depression in new mothers. And this includes selenium, omega-3 fatty acids, folate, vitamin B12, calcium, iron, and zinc. Drinking too much alcohol can lead to mental and physical problems also. Drinks with caffeine can make it harder for you to sleep, which can make some mental health conditions worse. Also, drinking caffeine regularly, then suddenly stopping can cause caffeine withdrawal, which can make you irritable and give you headaches. Eating nutritious foods may not cure a mental health condition, but eating healthy is a good way to start feeling better. So ask your doctor or your nurse for more information about the right foods to eat to help keep your mind and your body healthy. You can also find resources on the Office of Women's Health website, resources such as healthy and free recipe ideas and meal plans. I'd like to share with you some tips from OrlandoHealth.com on 5 ways that women can improve their mental health. Number one, get at least 15 minutes of sunshine per day, which is shown to boost vitamin D and elevate your mood. Spend at least half an hour in nature whenever you can, whether you're walking on a park trail or just out in your neighborhood or on the beach. Nature boosts your well-being. Take a short trip, explore your local area if there's something to do, or go on a trip. Experiencing a change of scenery can provide much needed stimulation and also reduce anxiety. Unplug from devices. Turning off or leaving behind your smartphone, your tablet, your laptop, that stops the constant flow of the messages and emails and text messages coming through, and it can bring on relaxation and just real life reconnection. And finally, practice forgiveness. Those who do forgive others or even themselves report better mental health and life satisfaction. Our next discussion is about the importance of advocating for better mental health for women. We must remember that our mental health is just as important as our physical health. We want to start and make sure everything up top is in order so that it doesn't have potential to impact everything down below negatively. Think about what it means to live mentally healthy. According to Mental Health America, thinking negatively can drag down your mood, your actions, and even your health. Researchers found that there are benefits of staying positive. For example, people who were pessimistic had a nearly 20% higher risk of dying over a 30-year period than those who were optimistic. People who keep track of their gratitude once a week were more upbeat and had fewer physical complaints than others. And you can stay positive by being optimistic and practicing gratitude and avoid negative thinking. It's important to have social connections and recreation. Poor social connections or poor social supports make it harder to recover from mental illness. While having a strong social support system, it improves overall outcomes and your ability to bounce back from stress. Social interaction and recreation are just all around good for you. And people with those strong social relationships are 50% more likely to live longer. Spirituality and religion. Religious and spiritual activities can affect the body chemistry and brain activity. Spiritual practices like meditation are linked to increased levels of feel-good chemicals like your serotonins, your dopamines, your endorphins, and decreased levels of cortisol, which is related to stress. Research has found that the areas of the brain associated with reward and positive feelings are activated when devout followers of a religion read the scripture. One study found that people who attended religious services monthly showed a 22% lower risk of depression. And it's important to have work-life balance. People who feel they have good work-life balance are more satisfied with their job and their life and experience fewer symptoms of depression and anxiety. Your health suffers when your work takes over your life. Poor work-life balance increases your risk for health conditions like sleep problems, digestive disorders, and mental health problems. And this could be true, especially for people who work longer shifts or on the night shift or weekends. So let's work harder to put our mental health first. According to women.com, there are a few tips to help our women put their mental health as a priority. Number one, we should work on giving ourselves permission to say no. This may mean setting boundaries and just not overcommitting yourself to things that you don't have the bandwidth to do. Women, we should spend more time with our female friends. Research shows that spending time with female friends not only provides women with validation for their own experiences, but also improves their mental and physical health. Practice self compassion and give yourself words of affirmation daily, which is just a new way of talking to yourself so that it improves your mental health over time. Remembering your five senses. Think about ways that your five senses can be soothing and make a stressful day more tolerable. For example, you may want to use aromatherapy like lavenders or peppermints to improve your mood. At the end of a stressful day, take a nice long soak in the tub, long hot bath, light a candle for yourself and enjoy the warm light that it provides. Or listen to music that makes you feel powerful or calm, whatever your need is at that time. Next, schedule some time for yourself. And the key word here is schedule. You want to schedule that time to make sure that you can maintain a consistent routine. And finally, understanding that putting your mental health first, it looks different from person to person and from day to day. So for everyone, um, it doesn't always mean getting rest and relaxation. For some folks, some days where you can, prioritize and check off things on your to-do list. That may mean putting your mental health as a priority to you. It could also mean ending a toxic relationship that's causing you stress. So it looks different for everybody, but you have to find out what works best for you. And getting professional help. And this brings me to my final topic today, which is drawing attention to suicide. According to the CDC, suicide is a serious public health problem and a leading cause of death in the United States, with 45,979 deaths in 2020. This is about one death every 11 minutes. The number of people who think about or attempt suicide is even higher. In 2020, an estimated 12.2 million American adults seriously thought about suicide. 3.2 million planned a suicide attempt, and 1.2 million attempted suicide. Women are more likely to attempt suicide than men. Suicide is preventable, and everyone has a role to play to save lives and create healthy and strong individuals, families, and communities. Some of the risk factors for suicide include depression, other mental disorders or substance abuse disorders, certain medical conditions, a prior suicide attempt, or a family history of suicide. Suicidal thoughts or actions are a sign of extreme distress and not a harmless bid for attention. And these signs and symptoms should not be ignored. Now, while we cannot predict who will die by suicide, we can identify people who may be at risk with warning signs and behaviors. The risk is greater if the behavior is new or worsened, or if it seems to be related to a painful event, loss, or change. If the person is talking about wanting to die or kill oneself, researching ways to kill oneself, or buying a gun, talking about feeling hopeless or having no reason to live, talking about being a burden to others, Increasing the use of drugs or alcohol, or displaying extreme mood swings, then the person could be at risk for suicide and needs help as soon as possible. One way to get the person help is to contact the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 1 800 273 TALK, which is 1 800 273 8255. And this is free, confidential, and always available. I'd like to thank you again for the opportunity to speak about women's health and mental health matters for women. And this is a topic that we need to discuss throughout the year, not just in 1 month, but throughout the year to keep that awareness raised, and just so we can stress and emphasize that our mental health is just as important as our physical health. Thank you.